All right, everybody, welcome back to Beans No Ball. After an endless 6 months, it's finally back. It's kickoff week. So we're just gonna get one last bit of the predictions out the way for our preseason predictions, and once that's done, we're gonna get right back into our groove and get it all started up again with our week one preview. Little bit of a different format we're gonna work with this year. Kind of even change up what we talked about in the We're Back video, but we'll explain it as we get there. But let's just get it started. Christian, I'll let you start with our season awards.
Yeah, so obviously beginning of the season, like you said, instead of getting the season awards separately, we're just gonna do it into the week one preview. So obviously let's get right into it. So obviously just starting off with the most valuable award, the MVP. With my this year's MVP, I have Joe Burrow. I feel like Joe Burrow's due for an MVP. He has been very consistent since he's came into the league. He's been in the AFC Championship the times he's been in the playoffs, and he's just proven to be possibly a top 10 quarterback in the league. And I feel that he will dethrone Patrick Mahomes in the leading race for MVP. And Joe Burrow, I just really got some great expectation for him this season. So I got him for my MVP.
Yeah, right off the bat, we're gonna agree. As for me, I have him leading the Bengals into the 1 seed. We see, just like you said, he's in the AFC Championship every year except for his ACL tear. So I see a lot of greatness from him this year. I see probably a good amount of career best to just really establish himself. Like you said, like I mentioned, obviously I'm predicting him to even win the Super Bowl this year. Really edge his way to cement himself, a great rival with Mahomes. As for Offensive Player of the Year, his favorite target, I'm gonna have Jamar Chase. So for this, easily for right off the bat, I got my MVP throwing to him, and at least to me, it's not crazy to say. I think everyone can kind of agree with this. That's the best quarterback wide receiver duo in the league. For Chase this season, I'm expecting massive numbers. I'm expecting 2021 Cup, 2022 Jefferson type production. So we'll see how. I expect to see a great glimpse of this this week against the Browns, but I just really expect great things for Jamar Chase.
Yeah, not a bad pick, but I'm going to go for a very bold one. I think Justin Jefferson is going to go back-to-back offensive player of the year. We saw what his production Justin Jefferson did last season. With Kirk Cousins throwing him the ball and put up so many huge numbers, almost broke a record with most yards in a season. It was very, very historic for him, but, with the way he is playing and the plays he makes, I feel I got a feeling in me he'll probably most likely win back-to-back offensive player of the year. Now, obviously, moving on to Defensive Player of the Year, I have to go with my guy, Michael Parsons. Last year, 0 total votes for the Defensive Player of the Year award, which was, pretty surprising. A lot of fans, even non-Cowboys fans, were even surprised he didn't get a single vote. But the way Michael Parsons has been playing since his rookie year and since he's joined the Cowboys, he's been great in 2021. And we saw how last season he put up a lot of numbers. Sure, you can say that, he went ghost, blah, blah, blah. But that people are just looking at the sack score when he didn't see his pressures and they didn't see all the studs in that category. Michael Parsons, former rookie defensive player of the year, and I have a strong feeling with how he plays and how great this defense is. Him leading this defense on his back, he's got a strong chance for the defensive player of the year award.
Yeah, I think anyone could have seen that prediction coming a mile away, but I think he's respected. He's a great player, and for me, I see him right up there. But my pick's going to be TJ Watt. We saw his historic 2021 that got him to get this award that year. Pretty disappointing down year last season. Only 5 sacks. I expect a massive bounce back for him. I'm expecting easily historic numbers again. Probably not to get up to the 22.5 sacks he got, but easily 15 plus sacks. I would believe. I think he's just really gonna cement himself. Get up there. Get up there with his brother JJ. Up there, closer to Aaron Donald. And as for I'm not expecting much from the Steelers, but if they're gonna prove me wrong, it's gonna be TJ Watt. So that's gonna. I think he's just gonna be just a force this season. That's my top defensive guy. And moving into rookies, my offensive rookie of the year. This is synonymous to some this could be a hot take. I'm gonna go with Anthony Richardson. To me, he could possibly, despite doubts about him coming into the draft, I expect him to be one of the next big mobile quarterbacks. We see Justin Fields had doubts, Lamar Jackson had doubts, and look how they're coming into their own. I'm expecting Michael Pittman Jr., someone we both always say good things about with his USC connection. I expect a lot of great things, a lot of growth from him, getting a pretty competent quarterback to start throwing at him. And I would expect top 15 quarterback receiver duo, maybe top 10. That's a stretch even to me, but you never know if he really gets hot. I'm not expecting this to translate to wins, of course. What I said about the Colts in the preview, but I see him showing a lot of glimpses of what he's capable of, and probably a lot of glimpses of what he can do in the future.
Yeah, it's honestly not as bad as we expected, but some hope there. But with my offensive rookie of the year, I'm going with Jackson Smith-Njigba from the Seattle Seahawks. Watching him in Ohio State, he's a great receiver. I think hopefully that my Cowboys were going to draft him, but obviously he went a little early to the Seahawks and kind of sucked. But obviously he had his shine in preseason. He looked good, especially against us. He kind of torched our defensive backs a bit. But I really got some hope for Jackson Smith. I feel he's going to be one of the next great receivers in the future league, especially for a young guy like him. And now moving on to the defensive rookie of the years, I'm going to go with the most notable one, Jalen Carter from the Philadelphia Eagles. I know how I was sure torched their Eagles for the Eagles defense for letting players go. That might not be as well, but I feel Jalen Carter would be the guy to step up. Watching him at Georgia, he was a dog. He was a beast. Him with Nakobe Dean as well, but I feel like Jalen Carter is a little bit better. He's gonna be a beast getting to that quarterback. He's gonna show hell to every offensive line that he goes up against.
Yeah, once again, just another agreement we're gonna have here. I'm gonna also say Jalen Carter. As for me, you know what I'm saying. I'm still really high on the Eagles defense. I see him, really fitting right in as a dominant force. I see him becoming one of the big reasons they're going to maintain that 1 seed. We see everything he did in a historic Georgia defense, winning back-to-back national championships. I think he's going to fit in with all those great names, and just not more to be said. He's at least to me far and away the best defensive prospect this season. And moving on to Coach of the Year, this one would probably not be a surprise to any. I'm gonna go with the guy I've been preaching on the most, even since last year. I'm going with Dan Campbell. He's everything I say, he's been setting that tone in this Lions team. From what I predicted, I'm expecting him to win the Lions their first division title since 1993. It's going to be a big deal. Not expecting much success, but a 3 seed. I really think it's going to be it's finally gonna pay off. It's finally gonna show what Campbell's been doing. Started seeing a little bit last year, but this year it's finally gonna translate to real success.
Yeah, as much as I really love that, really love Dan Campbell in that pick, but honestly, I'm gonna go with a very stretch here. I guess hot take. I'm gonna go Jim Harbaugh from the Ravens. We saw the meltdown and downfall of the Baltimore Ravens last season, obviously with Lamar and his injury and him going down, and just lots of bad places on both sides of the ball, offensively, defensively. Quarterback situation, defense was kind of on their heels most of the time. It wouldn't look well. Then obviously getting Lamar Jackson back in the offseason, and I think it was in March where they signed him to a really huge contract. And obviously, like I said, I had the Ravens going far in the playoffs this season, doing well, obviously falling short. But I feel like Lamar Jackson could put this team on his back, and Jim Harbaugh, not really looking back at that that downfall of last season, but I do feel he will be able to switch it up again this season. And then obviously with our last award, the Comeback Player of the Year, I think this is a no-brainer. It's going to be DeMar Hamlin. Obviously, this is just going to be this is honestly going to be the unanimous Comeback Player of the Year. We saw that the life-threatening injury, the cardiac arrest that he went through the last season against the Bills, and we obviously knew how that went. And, I think this is just the obvious choice here that is going to be Damar Hamlin.
Yeah, obviously no opposition here. If Hamlin steps on the field, he's the far and away winner for this award. We saw, obviously not too similar, but in a way, the Alex Smith situation. He also, he had a life-threatening injury, and obviously to even step back on the field, that's all he needed. And it's inspiring, and it's a blessing that he's going to be able to get back on the field, and obviously much deserved to get that award for him. But that will wrap up the final slate of predictions that we have for this season. Now we'll move on to the real deal. Now we're going to get back into our weekly predictions of games. This season it will be just a little different. We will no longer be going over every single game individually. We will start now. Right here next to us on screen, you're going to see just a screen of all our picks, and we're only going to talk about 2 games. We're going to talk about, obviously, our games. I'll talk about the Rams, Chris will talk about the Cowboys, and we'll talk a game that we'll highlight. So to kick it off here with my Rams, I'm just going to be realistic, and I'm going to say we'll lose in Seattle. But believe me, I see a really close game, but it's just going to be not enough. I don't see us winning at Lumen Field. First off, I'll see us bounce back in week 11 when we get them in SoFi, but I see them splitting and with the home team winning each game. Like I said, I'm expecting a close game, and more than anything, see what this offseason gave us. Is Stafford going to be back to his former self? What are these rookies doing? I talked about Puka Nacua and Trey Tomlinson. How much production can they give us? In an actual NFL game? Has the offensive line improved at all? And how much of a liability is that defense going to be? Which, because of what I'm expecting on the defense, I'm expecting Geno to honestly go off. Still keeping it close, but he's going to have a great game. Let's just not overreact about it. He's playing a pretty bad defense. I still expect him to fall off, but regardless, I got the Seahawks here. And for the game I'm going to highlight, I'm going to go with the Bills at the Jets on Monday night. Not too much to say here, honestly. It's just the big ticket. Aaron Rodgers is making his Jets debut here. I'm expecting to struggle a little bit, probably not have the greatest first half, but he'll ease into it. He'll probably really make this game close in the second half. I'm still expecting the Bills to come away with it, but I'm really excited to see what Diggs and Sauce Gardner, that a big key matchup. But I'll expect Josh Allen and Stephon to honestly probably torch Sauce.
Yeah, that was a good highlight game. Obviously talking about your Rams this season, it's going to be a little tough for the season, but now obviously moving on to mine, which is my Cowboys against the Giants at MetLife Stadium. So obviously I have my Cowboys winning this game, as you can see from the graphic. I think this is a pretty obvious choice here. When we're looking at this statistically game-wise, the Cowboys have won 10 straight games against the Giants when Dak Prescott is under center starting. Dak Prescott, he owns the Giants. He owns the NFC East. He has a 27-something record against them. So he has a very high distance margin record against the NFC East. And, just looking at this Cowboys team, you got Dak Prescott coming off, I guess, a down year. And then obviously looking at the receivers, we now have a pretty wide open receiver core since CeeDee Lamb had to pretty much carry up most of the work last season with Noah Brown at the receiver 2 spot. And still managed to work out with Cooper Rush. But we're looking at CD. We're looking at Michael Gallup, who's 100% healthy after the ACL injury in 2021 against the Cardinals. And then newly acquired Brandon Cooks, who's arguably one of the most consistent receivers we've seen up to date. And now looking at this defense. This defense is one of a kind. It's one of the best defenses the Cowboys have had in years. This defense, it's gonna dismantle in the upcoming years when we're not able to resign any players. This is a great defense that I feel is gonna wreak havoc against Daniel Jones. And we're looking at the Giants. Again, Daniel Jones, he signed that big contract. Is he worth the money? Possibly not. Could he? Sure. Who knows? This season will be the point of it. And then obviously he has the rookie receiver, Jalen Hyatt from Tennessee. I honestly had a lot of hope for Jalen Hyatt. Everyone's already doubting him, but I feel he'll be a pretty good receiver. But obviously with Daniel Jones, it could be hit or miss. And then with that Giants defense, it's pretty good, but they always they always have a downfall towards the second half of the game. But obviously, with the key weapons of my Dallas Cowboys and how this game would play out, I do have my Cowboys obviously walking out with a huge win here at MetLife Stadium. And then with my highlight game of the week, I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins against the Los Angeles Chargers. You have two big-name quarterbacks, Tua Tagovailoa and Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, who just signed a really, really big contract with the Chargers. And also, you got his weapons like Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen obviously is number one threat. And then Austin Eckler at the backfield. Great running back, arguably a top 10 running back in the league, Austin Eckler. And then looking at this defense for the Chargers, you got Asante Samuel. You got guys all over the field. And then I want to say this defense could take him far, even though I do have him missing the playoffs. This defense is somewhat inconsistent. We did see that last year, and we did see a really great example in the playoffs against the Jaguars, how badly that defense sold. People blame Herbert, but realistically, that defense could not get the job done, and it was just really disappointing. Then obviously with the Miami Dolphins, obviously Jalen Ramsey acquired, even though he was injured during camp, he will miss the first couple games. But you still have guys like Xavon Howard. He's really got to pick up the pace against Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen is a great receiver. I feel this is going to be a really great game. Two big quarterbacks. It's going to be a really, really nice game. But obviously with this one, I do have the Los Angeles Chargers winning this one in a very close game. And that's about going to wrap up for this week one preview. David, you got anything to say about this?
No, obviously. Trying something new this season. Gonna cut some things down. But regardless, let's see how this works out for us. Can't wait to see how these predictions work out, and not let this stretch out any longer. Thank you everyone for watching, and hopefully you guys stick around for another great season with us.